Welcome to another part of our Parenting Webinar Series 2020. I am Teacher Maru, an occupational therapist from ALRES Philippines, and today we're going to talk about play. Our topic is entitled Parents at Play, Enjoying the Art of Playing. Play may be a very broad topic, but we would zoom into its brief background, the essential components, its relationship to children with special needs, and how parents can facilitate and engage in play. Here's our topic outline. We would first define what is play, find out its importance. We would also look into the play skills for children with special needs. We would have a short discussion on the developmental play milestones. And lastly, how parents could set up play and what are the things to remember to fully engage in play. The first question would be, what is play? It may seem like a very simple question, but why do we need to define and understand play? Because if we clearly understand the role of play to our child's growth and development, we would properly use and manage it in order to give our children new learning and new experiences. So how do we define play? There are a lot of play definitions, but these ones by Goldstein and Frost are what I think captured our topic for today. For Goldstein, he defined a play as any activity freely chosen, intrinsically motivated, and personally directed. Play may be presented in various forms, in different ways, but a child would choose what he wants and direct himself and absorb himself in that specific play activity. According to Frost, play is the chief vehicle for the development of imagination and intelligence, language, social skills, and perceptual motor abilities in infants and young children. Play is a very powerful tool, and it is believed to increase brain growth and development. Our brain needs to be stimulated in order to establish connections and pathways that are essential for learning. In line with that, we will now go to the benefits of play. Why is play important? First, it influences our child's emotional and behavioral skills. It reduces stress and irritability as it brings calmness to the player. It creates joy and self-esteem. Confidence is boosted, thus brings a sense of fulfillment to the child. It improves emotional flexibility as play allows the child to feel happiness, sadness, frustration, and even anger. And the child would learn how to manage or deal with these emotions as needed. Play also increases attention as the child engages in play and gets absorbed in the play activity. His ability to attend to a certain task also gets prolonged. It improves the ability to adapt. In play, there are a lot of changes that the child may encounter. May it be changes in the materials or toys available, or changes in the play processes. But the child develops the ability to adapt and continue to achieve his desired outcomes in play. Play also encourages persistence as the child encounters a lot of trials and errors during play. He becomes more resilient, and disciplined in terms of overcoming his difficulties. Second, play influences a child's physical or motor skills. It increases the range of motion as the child constantly moves and stretches his limbs. He, he reaches the full potential or the full capacity of his body movements. It also improves coordination and balance through engagement in active play such as jumping, climbing, hopping, or various outdoor activities. Our gross motor skills are definitely strengthened. When it comes to the arms, hands, and fingers, these body parts are also strengthened through play activities. Movements of the arms and the hands, such as playing throw and catch, use of fingers in manipulation of objects, such as using scissors to cut paper, writing, coloring, picking up small objects such as buttons, coins, or marbles. All of these activities facilitate the strengthening of what we call fine motor skills. Next, play influences a child's cognitive skills. It facilitates essential math skills such as counting, addition, subtraction, and even pattern recognition. It encourages creative problem solving as the child finds ways to answer his questions. It also improves logical thinking as he makes sense of his problems. Play also uses basic academic concepts such as shapes, alphabet, numbers, which are all equally essential for academic skills. Next, play also influences language, communication, and social skills. It increases vocabulary, use of sentences, through the constant exchange of conversations between the child, his peers, his siblings, his parents. Because the child pays attention to the words that are used and how they are used. It also models relationships towards siblings, significant adults, and parents. It also improves nonverbal skills such as the use of gestures and facial expressions, and the child also becomes sensitive to the other people's nonverbal cues as well. Play is also a great avenue to facilitate sharing and empathy towards others. Having said those benefits, let us now look into the play skills of our children with special needs. Because of their condition, our children with special needs are now challenged to engage in play. Their skills and behaviors give limitation to fully maximize their play experience. What are the examples of these? Children with special needs may have limitations in movement due to decreased strength or physical impairments. They may also have problems in exploring toys due to their sensory issues. They are hindered by their sensory needs, such as avoidance to certain textures, avoidance to loud sounds or loud noises, and excessive physical activity. They are limited to the stimulation that they could possibly absorb through play. They may have decreased play interests as well and delays in their language and social skills, thus affecting communication and social relations. These are only some of the numerous and evident challenges that our children with special needs are experiencing in terms of their engagement in play. But this does not mean that they are not capable of playing. Of course, all children can play. Because of this, it is necessary for us therapists, for you mommies and daddies, and significant adults to know our child's current skill level so that we can give them the appropriate support that they need to meaningfully engage in play. It would also be helpful to ask our pediatricians, our developmental pediatricians, and us therapists to assess your child's current skill level. On that note, we would now go to the discussion of the developmental play milestones. We would be looking at two components. First, the cognitive stages. These are forms of play that the child engages in with regard to the toys he selects, how he plays with them, the words that he uses, how he uses them, his thoughts and ideas that all manifest through the manner of his play. Now, the more complex that these toys, these words, or these thoughts and ideas get, the more complex that they get, it also reflects the maturity of his cognitive skills, or cognitive development. As for the social stage, these are forms of play that has to do with the child's interaction with others. Here is an overview of the developmental play milestones. As you can see, it is illustrated as a ladder. Each step represents a developmental stage in which cognitive and social play skills are expected to be seen and be developed at certain ages. Each step is a necessary foundation for the child to progress to another higher step. We will look at each stage in the following slides. Infancy and toddlerhood, birth to 2 years old. The cognitive stages expected are sensory motor and pretend play. In sensory motor play, a child is mostly concerned with what he or she sees, touches, hears, smells, or tastes. These senses are explored through repetitive actions. For pretend play, children start to imitate others' actions and also begin to take on common roles, such as being mommy by putting on makeup, cooking in the kitchen, or being daddy, driving his car, working on his computer. They may also start imitating their siblings, like wearing their school bag, pretending that they would also go to school. They also start to use toys or tools as they are meant to be. For example, a toy pan or pot for pretend cooking, toy spoon for pretend eating, or a toy telephone to pretend calling someone. As for the social stages, infants engage in unoccupied play. They would direct their play towards themselves or towards their bodies. For example, they would get toys or reach for toys and put them inside their mouth to taste, moving their arms and hands to feel the texture of their soft toys. For toddlers, they usually engage in solitary play, meaning they often play alone. In instances that another child or other children are also in the area, these children would often go unnoticed. Here are the recommended toys for infancy and toddlerhood stage. For sensory motor, children can be provided with toys that they can reach for, hold, shake, or make noise with, such as rattles, rings, or soft toys. Things to listen to, such as lullaby music or nursery rhymes, can also be provided. Things to look at, such as board books that have simple or simple or real objects. For pretend play, figures such as people, animals could help children recognize themselves, their family members, and even their pets that could eventually facilitate role taking or imitation of actions and taking on basic roles. Kitchen sets, food toys, doctor sets, dentist tools can also be used to facilitate pretend play. Mommies and daddies' clothes and accessories can also be tools or can also serve as toys to facilitate pretend play. As mentioned, children at this stage engage in unoccupied and solitary play, commonly using the toys discussed. For preschool years, ages 3 to 5, the cognitive stages expected are symbolic play, which is a more advanced form of pretend play. Here, the toys or tools are now used to substitute for another object. For example, a toy spoon can turn into a telephone, or a toy ball can turn into a sun in the sky. For simple constructive play, a preschooler uses objects to create or build something. These toy blocks are now used to build towers or houses. For the social stages, a preschooler initially engages in play as an onlooker, wherein he watches others playing, but there's no interaction between them. Eventually, this skill progresses to become parallel play, wherein children play side by side. They are aware of each other's presence, but they are both engaged in their own set of toys or own set of activities. The recommended toys for this stage are for the symbolic play, we can provide dolls, puppets, boxes, empty jars or containers that can be used or turned into boats, spaceships, or even aquariums for their toy fishes maybe. We can also use common household items such as the kitchen utensils, excluding the sharp ones of course. We can use pots and pans, bowls and plates that they can turn into hats, shields, wands, or whatever their imagination could think of. For the simple constructive play, we may use carpentry tools, blocks, or even pillows and blankets to build castles, tents, or houses. As illustrated, preschoolers engage in onlooker and parallel social play. For the early elementary years, 5 to 8 years old, cognitively, the children are expected to be in dramatic play, which is another higher form of pretend play. In this, children take on roles, being someone or something different from themselves, and they act out situations and feelings for the characters that they have chosen. This is where the superheroes may come in, or the pirates and the princesses and other characters that they might have seen in storybooks or the famous movies. This play also becomes what we call social dramatic play when shared with others. When other children join in the drama, additional scenes are made, additional characters are made, and thus they create longer scripts, facilitating longer conversations, longer use of sentences, and also exploration of different feelings, expressing of different feelings, and how to respond to those emotions. Next is the complex constructive play. This is a higher form of constructive play, as previously mentioned, in which children build more elaborate or more detailed creations. For example, creations of houses with different rooms and items inside, or armors and shields with different functions that they could think of. They also begin to play with games with rules, those that facilitate turn taking and introduce the concept of winning and losing. So they have sets of instructions to follow. For the social play, children engage in associative play wherein they take interest in having a playmate. It doesn't matter what kind of play they're going to have or what kind of materials they're going to use. What matters most is that they have a playmate. They're interested to play with each other. Now, for the recommended toys at this stage, dramatic play and complex constructive play can actually go together. We need materials that would facilitate their imagination and creativity. We can give them dressed up costumes. If you have, I'm sure most of you have a collection of some of these costumes, various costumes to choose from, or old clothes or pieces of fabric that they could turn into capes, masks, or crowns that they can wear. We can also use household items such as empty boxes or cartons or tissue cores, kitchen tools, and art materials, of course, to add more detail and color to their creation. For the blocks and the clay, they can also be used in numerous ways to have detailed creations. They can place their blocks, they can combine their blocks and their clay doughs and their fabrics to form different and complex designs. Storybooks are also essential. There are important tools as well from which they can get inspirations in creating their play scenes or dramatic acting. They can also participate in simple games with rules such as Jenga blocks or Uno card games. Even those that do not need equipment can be played, such as the famous rock, paper, scissors, or hide and seek. These kinds of games do not need equipment but are equally exciting to our kids. As mentioned, these children socially engage in associative play wherein they show interest in playing with each other, no matter the kind of activity it may be. Moving on to the late elementary years, 9 to 11 years old, children cognitively engage in complex games with rules, in which they understand more challenging sets of instructions, those with multiple rules, and it requires more strategy taking and problem solving. Socially, they are cooperative in working together to achieve outcomes, may it be winning together in a game or simply completing an art project together. The example of toys that we can use to facilitate these skills would be for the complex games with rules, board games such as Monopoly or Scrabble. And to facilitate cooperative play, we may provide art projects or puzzles that they can complete together as a team or as a group. And this would also give them an opportunity to problem solve and strategize as a team. For the adolescent years, 12 years old and above, these children engage in recreation or hobbies such as playing with musical instruments, dancing, or singing, among others. They may also participate in competitive games wherein there is more structure and more set of roles that they take in that are more complex and demanding. To facilitate these skills, we may provide opportunities to explore on their interests or talents in music or arts, such as playing the guitar, playing the piano, photography, painting, designing, fitness routines, or even outdoor activities. Engagement in competitive sports may also be one of their interests or inclination. May it be an individual sport or a team sport. They would usually find themselves belonging in a group of peers with the same set of interests and engage in hobbies as pairs or groups. Now, going back to this illustration of our developmental milestones, I would like to emphasize that each stage of the developmental play milestone is a necessary foundation for our children to go up a higher stage or a higher step. That's why it is very important for us to know where our child's current skill is. Once we have this knowledge or once we have this idea of where he is on this ladder, we would know what kind of play to facilitate. Let us also remember that not all children are at par with these milestones. These are guides, yes, but not all children can achieve these expectations, especially our children with special needs. Some of them may be chronologically or age-wise, maybe at the late elementary years, 9 to 11 years old, but skills-wise, they are performing at a lower stage level. They may be at the early elementary years stage. Thus, we need to facilitate those gaps so that he can progress to the next level. Moreover, these stages can overlap. It does not necessarily mean that if a child is expected to engage in complex constructive play, he cannot anymore be seen or he cannot anymore engage in a lower level, or let's say symbolic play. If he's in constructive play, he cannot be playing symbolic play. No, it doesn't have to be that way. He can be engaging in simple constructive play one day and then beginning games with rules on the next. Or he can be in associative play today and be engaging in cooperative play tomorrow. Again, it's important for us therapists, and especially you mommies and daddies or dear parents, to carefully observe what our child is interested in, how he plays, who does he interact with, and what are his responses to the materials or to the toys that we expose him to or that we present him. Having said that, now that we know the milestones and components of play, it is a challenge for parents to be creative and innovative in providing play opportunities so that our children will be properly and effectively guided as they go through these set of stages. Now, how do we set up play? We need to have a goal. There are 4 things to remember. Number 1, guided play. It is our role as significant adults in our children's lives, especially mommies and daddies, to guide our children through careful modeling of the play processes and provision of the right play materials. We should be guiding our children, not directing them. There are times when us adults impose tasks that meet our needs rather than those of our child's needs. It may be sometimes difficult for us to resist putting pressure on the child or even onto ourselves to succeed and do something well, rather than allowing them to just explore and prepare themselves as they slowly but surely climb towards the next step. Number 2, objective. Play with purpose. Every time we think of a play activity, we should always have an objective in mind. What do you want your child to learn in this activity? What do you want for your child to develop in this task? Having an objective gives us a clear path and allows us to plan and organize the materials that we would be needing to facilitate and achieve these objectives. Remember, these objectives should be realistic. Let us not rush nor push through skills that we know our children are not developmentally prepared for yet. Number 3, attend to your child. Observe his responses. Take down notes if you must. What he might be exhibiting today may be different tomorrow, depending on the things that you expose him to. What's important is that you carefully observe his behaviors, his words, his movements, his likes and dislikes. Number 4, level. Again, what is your child's current level? I keep emphasizing this. It's very important for us to know where our child is so that we can provide the right opportunities, the right play opportunities, and stimulate the needed skills to have a solid foundation for each developmental stage. Now that we have a goal, how do we now apply these goals? Of course, we have to play. There are, again, a few things to remember. Number one, provide a safe and inviting space for play. It doesn't matter how big or small our space is or our place is, as long as it is conducive for learning. And on that note, I would suggest that you turn off the television in the background, even if you're not directly watching a program. I know some of you may be guilty of this, but I suggest that you turn it off because it serves as a distraction and it might interrupt your playtime in one way or another. So just turn it off for a few minutes or so. And then number two, lay down the right toys. Offer a wide variety. Okay, offer a wide variety than offer a wide number of toys. So we offer wide variety or choices of toys rather than offering a wide number of toys. We don't need 100 blocks. We don't need 100 dolls or 100 balls. What we need is just enough amount of the right kinds of toys that would allow them to explore different qualities, not quantities, such as textures, and those that would widen their imagination and creativity. Do not place all the toys at once. I suggest that you choose a few items first and then observe how your child responds to those toys. Rotate the choices of toys or combine them weekly or every other week. It depends on your judgment. This would keep your child's interest in looking for something new rather than having everything all at once. Number three, allot time specifically for playing with your child. It does not have to be a whole day. We understand your responsibilities, especially at this time that we are on lockdown. What's important is that you show consistency and commitment to the time that you will give to your child as you engage in play. I also encourage you to involve the siblings if your child has siblings, as this would facilitate relationships and bonds, among other skills. Number four, lastly, the most important play equipment above all is you, our dear parents, our dear mommies, our dear daddies. I would like to emphasize and suggest to our parents that you engage in play. We want you first and foremost to experience playing, experience the processes of play, go down to your child's level. Hold the blocks, mold the clay, play pretend, move your arms, move your legs, dance, and even sing. Let's not be hesitant or be afraid to engage in play. This is a very powerful tool. Once we ourselves have experienced the magic of play, it would be easy for us to guide our children. And to end, I would like to share this beautiful quote by Plato. He said, "You can discover more about a person in an hour of play than in a year of conversation." It is now a challenge for us, a mission for you, dear parents, to purposefully engage with your children to play, through play. Be creative, be innovative. Fathers and mothers each play differently with their children, but equally contributes to their development. You have a critical role in influencing your child, and you are very vital in facilitating and achieving his optimum potential. I encourage you all to experience play firsthand, enjoy it at its fullest. And how do we know if we are doing play right or if we are doing everything right? As long as your child is laughing with you, looking at you, and engaging with you, everything is just fine. Here are my references. Again, I am Teacher Maru, an occupational therapist from ALRES Philippines. Thank you very much for listening. Keep safe and stay healthy.